Legit. Tibur, we're Ayin Chetz and Al at the first line. That's right.
Yeah, I think so.
We finished Ayin Zayin and Ayin Chetz and Al.
Yeah, first line.
The very first line. Okay. So we were talking about when you're selling the donkey, do you sell the accessories on top of it? Two kinds of accessories, schlepping and riding. Okay. Amar le Ravina le Ravashi. Ravina said to Ravashi the following: Tashma, look at this brisa. Machar es karon. Oh, it's actually a Mishnah earlier. Machar es karon. You sold a wagon. Lo machar es predos. You didn't sell the mules. Okay. The Tani Rav Tachlifa Bar Marava Kamed de Rabbi Abo. So Rabbi Tachlifa said in front of Rabbi Abo, Machar es karon. Machar es predos. You sold the wagon. You sold the mules with it. So same format as we had yesterday. The Amar Leiva Anan Loy Machar Tanan, but the Mishnah says that they didn't sell the mules. So what should we do? Amar Lei Isme, he said back to him, should I delete this brisa? Should I erase it? Amar Lei Lo. You don't have to delete it, just explain it in the following way. Ketargim Masniseich Badukimbo. The Mishnah is talking about where they are joined together, the mules and the wagon, and therefore they're going to be sold. So what do you see from there? Michlal de masnisin b'she'ena dukimbo. You see from there that our Mishnah is talking about a case where they are not joined together. So now here's the part that we need. Remember, we're trying to bring a proof. Is the machlokas in our Mishnah where the vessels are on top of the animal or not on top of the animal? The schlepping material or the riding material? Is that on top of the animal or is it next to the animal? So says the Gemara, well, I just proved to you that an earlier Mishnah was talking about where they are not together. So it makes sense that the Seifa, right? Back then it was all one long Mishnah. We have it nicely divided up. Mishnah, Gemara, Mishnah, Gemara, Mishnah, Gemara. They had one long, just Mishnayos, one long. So it's referring to, even though we have it as different Mishnayos, but the Gemara refers to it as a Reisha and a Seifa, the beginning of the Mishnah and the end of the Mishnah. So if the beginning of the Mishnah, which for us means the Mishnah one daf ago, is talking about where the vessels are, where the mules are not attached to the wagon, it would logically make sense that the latter part, our Mishnah, parallels that. So Seifa Nami b'she'ein odan alav, and therefore we would answer our question: is our Mishnah talking about where the schlepping material is on top of the donkey or not? Well, if the previous Mishnah was talking about a case where it's not joined together, the mules and the wagon, so logically we would say that this is also talking about where it's not joined together, so that they parallel each other. Says the Gemara, well, how far back do you want to go? So Adarabba, Amaresha, back to our boat, 7 daf earlier, which is also the Resha of this Mishnah. We said when you sell a boat, you don't sell avalo machar lo asavadim lo asandiki. You don't sell the boat and you don't sell its cargo. And what do you? Vamina my antiki. What's antiki? Amar papa iska de begava. Antiki means it's cargo. So what do you see? The avadim and the cargo are actually on the boat. So you're right. The Mishnah one daf ago was talking about where they're not connected together in terms of the wagon and the mules. However, the Mishnah before that, which is, remember, it's all one long Mishnah really, was talking about where the cargo and the avadim are on the boat. So umaderesha ba'odan alav. So seifa nami ba'odan alav. So maybe our Mishnah should parallel that Mishnah. So meaning, what do you see? You see a Mishnah on Ayin Gimel was talking about a boat, and there was stuff on the boat, cargo, avadim. Then a few Mishnayos later was talking about mules and the wagon, and there they were not connected to each other. So when it comes to our Mishnah, you can't bring any proof what I was talking about, because you don't know if it parallels the earlier part of the Mishnah or the latter part of the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Ella Tana Mili Katani. The Tana taught it depends on the circumstances. You can't bring a proof from earlier Mishnayos. It taught different cases for different Mishnayos. So if you buy a wagon, it's not connected. If you buy a boat, it's yet connected. And if you buy our case of a chamor, you remained unresolved. So we don't know exactly what it's talking about. We couldn't bring a conclusive proof after all these attempts. Okay, Simin Zagam Noson. Okay, I guess that's 6 cases. Maybe not. Let's see. So Amar Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Nassan, the Sumchus. Oh, it was referring to all these people. Zagam Nassan is a acronym for Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Nassan, the Sumchus, the Nachum Amadi. So those 6 people, Kulhu, Svirlahu, they all have a common denominator. What do they hold? Ki mazvin inish midi. So ihu v'kol tashmishe mazvin. They're both going to agree, each one in their own case, but the common denominator is that when you sell something, you sell it things that are necessary for it also. You don't just sell the thing itself. So what are cases of that? So some of this is review. Rabbi Eliezer Titnan, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Amocher. When you sell an olive press, Amocher is based about, just going back already, 11 daf, 12 daf. When you sell the olive press, Machar Esakora, you sell the beam. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Titnan, Rabbi Shimon ben Omer, Hamocher es a ear, so Machar es a center. When you sell a city, you sell the center, and I think the center we had either meant, the either it was the field or it was the you had a good name for it. It was the municipality committee. It was the
town bureaucrat.
The town bureaucrat, exactly. So you sell the city and you sell the things that are essential to the city, like the center, either the field or the town clerk. Rav Meir, the Tanya of Meir Omer Machar es a kerem. You sell a vineyard, Machar tashmishe kerem, and you sell the things that are vital to the upkeep of this vineyard. Rabbi Nassim the Sumchus, Bitis Vedugis. When you're selling a boat, you're selling the small little rowboat with it. Yeah. That's the Bugus. Medugus is the
2 different names for the
small boats. Yeah. Nachum Hamadi Hada Amran. So Jared, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 lines down on Ayin Chesed Beis, 4 lines up from the Mishnah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Nachum Hamadi Hada Amran. Nachum Hamadi. So that's our Mishnah. Our Mishnah Nachum Hamadi said that Machar Kula, you sell the donkey and the schlepping material that comes along with the donkey. Okay. The last part of our Mishnah said that according to Rabbi Yehuda, it depends if you say Chamar Zu or Chamar Hu. If you say Chamar Zu, so then you're selling this donkey and whatever comes with it. If you say Chamar Hu, you just want the donkey. Just give me the donkey. What's the difference? At the end of the day, whoever knows you're referring to this donkey. So what's the difference between Zu and Hu? So Amar Rava Chamorcha Zu Yada de Chamer de Dehu V'Hayde Kamer Le Zu Mishum Kaleb. So you say Chamer, that means that you're referring to, we know that it's referring to this guy's donkey. You want his donkey. And when you added the word Zu, obviously you're referring to the Caleb. You want the vessels that are on top of it. You want the different materials that come with the donkey, like the saddlebag and the side saddle. Kamerle chamorcha hu, we just saying I want that donkey. So delo yada de chamer didehu. So we assume that you don't know for sure it's this guy's donkey. Rashbam explains what it means. Chamorcha hu means has an implication of a question a little bit. Can you tell me that donkey? Meaning the Rashbam says, he's saying, if it's your donkey, im chamorchahu, so then let him krehuli, then sell it to me. So it has more an implication of I don't know, but by Zu, you know it's your donkey. This donkey, I want this donkey. So you're clearly aware that the buyer owns the seller owns it, and you want to buy it from him. Sell me chamorchahu, that's more of if this is your donkey, I want to buy it from you. In that case, what he's saying by who is if the chamor is who, if the chamor is yours, if this chamor belongs to you, so then please sell it to me. But you can't learn from the word who that it's referring to the schlepping material. I guess in general, the Rasham explained that in general, according to Rabbi Yehuda, when you sell a donkey, you don't sell the material with it. So basically, until you say chamor chazu, only then do we hear that you want the donkey and its schlepping material, the saddlebag and things like that. But chamor chahu is still a little bit vague. It's still just saying, if this chamor belongs to you, then I want the chamor. But you don't see any more than that. You don't see any more specific requests than just the donkey itself. Okay. Speaking of donkeys, next Mishnah. Hamocher es chamor. So, yeah, Jared, I'm sure you've done this many times in your life. Sold a donkey, right? Before the police department, he was really a donkey salesman. So, hamocher es chamor, mocher es siach. So, siach is like you sell the baby donkey, the little donkey with the donkey. Yeah, I was scared to pronounce that because I was going to make fun of again. How do you say it?
Foal.
A foal. People use that word foal?
By the dint of.
Yeah.
By the dint of. I'm selling a donkey by the dint of its foal. Exactly. Anyway, so okay, a foal meaning basically means the baby donkey. Yeah. Macher es apara, you sell a cow. Okay, here it's a simpler word. Lo macher es bina. You don't sell the cows. The cow's child does not come along with the cow. So we have a discrepancy. When you sell a chamor, the baby chamor comes along with it. When you sell a para, the baby para does not come along with it. Don't worry, the Gemara is going to ask why. So it's not going to miss that kind of question. Macher ashpa. So macher ashpa. So the garbage got too much this week, and you don't want to do it anymore. So you just sell your garbage bin to somebody. Yeah, macher ashpa. So are you selling your bin or macher zavla? And if you sell your bin, you also sell what's inside the bin. Yeah, all the goods. So macher bor, when you sell a pit, macher meimeha, you sell the water inside the pit. Macher kiveres, if you sell the bee's nest, so then macher devorim, then you're selling the bees that are inside of the nest. Macher shovach, if you sell a birdhouse, a dove cot, exactly, yeah, a birdhouse. So macher yonim, yeah, exactly. You're selling the doves also. So some things do. All these cases, meaning no one's selling just a garbage bin if it's full of garbage. No one's selling just a garbage bin. You're selling the stuff inside of it. And when you're selling a pit, you want the water inside. And when you're selling the nest of the bees or of the house of the birds, you're selling the birds also.
So this is truly a story with the birds and the bees.
Good. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Okay. Heichi dummy. So what's the case? So the amrle, meaning why does by the donkey you sell the foal, you sell the baby donkey, but not by the cow? So one sec, what's the case? The amrle hi ubina. If you specify clearly, right, first time so far in this chapter that you did that, and if you specify clearly, I want you and its child, then afilu paro bina. Nami, of course, then the cow, for sure the cow and its baby cow are sold. If you don't want, if you didn't say hiu bina, so then why buy a donkey? Does the kid automatically come along with it? So chamar nami lo. So meaning, what's the case where you're going to have this discrepancy of the donkey kid, yeah, and the cow baby, no? So amar of papa the amar le. You said chamor meinika, upara meinika ani mocher lach. I'm selling you a donkey that nurses, and I'm selling you a cow that nurses. Okay, I don't know that a donkey nurses, but let's see. Okay, so let's see. Bishlama para ikala meimar lechalva bayila. When you said that you want a cow that nurses, so then you understand ikala meimar lechalva bayila. You want the cow for its milk. You want a cow that's able to give off milk. But ela chamor mai kamerle, by a chamor. So meaning Funny. When you say you want a cow that nurses, what you mean is you want a cow that can produce milk. Okay. So there you take the cow, you don't take the kid with it. Meaning the status quo is you don't take the kid with the animal. However, when you said you wanted a cow that nurses, that's meinika, that can give off something, what were you referring to? Mai ka'amarle, shmamina, hi ubina ka'amarle. So you learn from there what he was referring to was the horse and its baby. Because when you said really the cow that nurses, so you don't need the cow for its nursing capabilities. So you must have meant you want to nurse it, meaning you want to take it and its baby, and it's going to
Not the cow, you mean
the horse. Thank you. Sorry, the donkey. You want the donkey and its child. That's the way to refer to a donkey and its child. You want the donkey to be able to, meaning you don't need the donkey's nursing like a cow. You need its milk. A donkey you don't need. So what must you mean? You need the donkey for it to be able to feed its baby. So therefore, when you say such a language, a chamor menika, so we don't use donkeys for their nursing. Oh, but if you want the child, then the child will need to have sustenance from somewhere, so it'll get it from its mother donkey. Okay, so now v'mai karile siach. So now we're just going to begin a whole agadata discussion. Why do we call a baby donkey siach? Or full. Amai karile full. No, amai karile siach means just say bina. In the Mishnah, you could just call it bina. So why do you say siach? Shemahalech achar sichana. Apparently, the donkeys they travel after pleasant speech. So the Rashbam says that you can almost like children, that when you call it just benachas, when you call it nicely, or you just hint to it, they just go right away. So that's the special quality of a chomer. I guess if we refer sometimes to children as a chomer, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It means that you follow directions very easily, and all we have to do is just hint to you, and you understand what's going on. Okay, don't do that. Amar Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar Rav Yochanan. This is a somewhat well-known agadata because the Mesilas Yesharim, the Ramchal quotes this in his Magnus Opus, Mesilas Yesharim. Ma'i d'chsiv. So this verse is by, this verse is in towards the end of Bamidbar. It says, about the fight with Sichon. It says, Al Kain Yomru Hamoshlim. The pasuk says, Bo Cheshbon Tibanevet Tikonen Ir Sichon. So it's referring to the battle with Sichon, and they said, "Come." Literally means let the ruler say, "Let's make a calculation and let's go build, and establish the city of Sichon." Yeah, the Rashbam explains the context here is that that Bilam had a prophecy that Sichon was gonna win over Moab. And the Rashbam explains that really this pasuk is unnecessary because what do you need this pasuk for? If it's to teach you that Ammon and Moab are going to go and clear out Sichon, so it already says that V'hu nilcham melech Moab harishon ve'ein tzarich yoser. So this whole pasuk talking about how Moab is going to conquer Sichon seems to be extra. So therefore, the Gemara is now going to interpret it into a whole understanding about self-reflection and improving ourselves. It is, eh?
It is.
Okay. So Yomru Hamoshlim. What are the Moshlim? Literally means the rulers. Who are the rulers? Elu Hamoshlim B'Yitzram. The rulers, the conquerors, are the ones who are able to overcome their Yetzer Hara, who overcome their evil inclination. Bo'u Cheshbon. Come and do a calculation. Bo'u V'nechshav Cheshbono Shel Olam. Come and do a calculation of the world. Meaning, Hefsed mitzvah keneged schara, v'schar aveira keneged hefseda. A person should calculate the when there's a mitzvah opportunity. So think about the schar you can get of the mitzvah versus the loss from not doing the mitzvah, and the punishment we get for an aveira versus the schar we get for not doing the avera versus the loss we get for doing the avera. Person should think about these things. Tibana v'tikonin. So now, you should build and you shall establish. Im ata osekin, if you do this and you make this cheshbon, you make this calculation, what's going to happen? Tibana ba'olam hazeh. You're going to build in this world. V'tichonin li'olam haba. And then you'll be established in the next world. Similarly to, we work in this world and then we get schar in the next world. This world you build, and whatever you build here, that's what's going to be established over there. Ir sichon. So what's ir sichon? Im mesim atzmo ke'ayar zeh. If you're going to make yourself like this baby donkey over here, shemahalik achar sichanoah, who follows very pleasant talk. So you should make yourself like this. You should also follow very pleasant speech. Sorry, you shouldn't do this, right? Right. Ir sichon im mesim atzmo ka'ayar zeh shemahalik achar sichanoah. Oh, sorry, it's one long thing. I'm in the wrong place. Yeah, if you make yourself like this animal that just follows, this animal just follows, this baby donkey just follows pleasant talk, and you get so seduced by the pleasant talk of Yetzer Hara. So then maksiv akrav, the next verse is going to say ki eish yatsa mecheshbon, fire will come out from cheshbon. Teitze eish memachshiven, v'tochel esh eina machshiven, fire will come out from those that do a calculation and don't follow the pleasant seduction of their evil inclination. Those are the tzaddikim, and they're going to eat up the ones that don't do that, meaning the rishayim. Okay, then it states in that verse lahava. Yeah, lahava. This flame mikiryas sichon. So what's a flame from the city of Sichon? It means mikiryas tzaddikim shenikru sichon. A flame's going to come out from the tzaddikim who are called sichin. Sichin are trees. And the Rashbam brings numerous places that a tzaddik is referred to as a tree. So one of them we're going to say Friday night. Right after the Chadodi, we say Mizmor Shalim Shabbos. And then we say Tzaddik Katamar Yifrach Ke'erez Balvanon Yiskeh. So a tzaddik is Katamar Yifrach. It's compared to this flower that sprouts. So Ke'erez Balvanon Yiskeh as compared to a cedar tree. So probably you have this really all over the place. You have this a lot, that the comparison between a person to a tree. We had that last week, and specifically to a tzaddik, to a tzaddik. Yeah. So this is another example. If you think about a tree, so the reason I'm just thinking out loud right now, the reason why it's a good example, because a tree, you see, it's as a tree grow, you have all the seeds and the water and the sunlight, right? And you see its growth, right? So it seems to be that a person who does what they're supposed to do, so they have a similar trajectory. Spiritually, they also keep growing up and maturing.
Isn't that how the Tehillim start, right?
What do you say?
Isn't how the Tehillim start?
What do you mean?
The Tehillim, like a righteous man.
Ashimi Shalahol, that's over there. Yeah, the second or third verse.
Yeah, it's like a tree planted.
Correct. It comes up everywhere. It's like, yeah. Okay. So that verse continues. Achla ar Moav. So what does it mean? Achla ar Moav. Zeha mahalik achar yitzro ke'ayer zeh shemahalik achar sichana. So this is referring to the person. The word ar here the Gemara learns is referring to this ayar. This our is referred to this, the animal that just follows the pleasant speech. So too, we're comparing that person who just follows his yetzer, which seems to be very sweet in its seduction tactics. Bale bamos arnon. What are the bale bamos arnon? The bale bamos are things that are very high up. So what does that mean? Who's that referring to? Elu gasei ruach. It's referring to the people that are very haughty. So such people Yeah, the Amar Mar, as Mar said, Master said, Kol Adam sheyesh bo gasas ruach nofel b'gehenim. So the balei bamos are referring to really the ones, the balei gaiva, the ones that are, they have a lot of haughtiness. And what's wrong with that? Because it says one who has haughtiness falls to Gehenna. Okay. Then it says Veniram Avad Cheshbon. What's Veniram? Veniram is Amar Rasha Ein Ram. The Rasha says that there's nobody higher up. So it's referring to someone who's saying that there's no one, that Hashem doesn't exist. That's Ein Ram. There's nobody higher up. Avad Cheshbon. So this person is Avad Cheshbon. He loses Cheshbon. What does losing Cheshbon mean? Avad Cheshbon Shel Olam. So he lost out on the. Oh, sorry. He says that there's no judgment and there's no judge. Les din v'leis dayan. There's no judgment and there's no judge. So that's what he means. This person says he's Avad Cheshbon Shel Olam. No, there's no Cheshbon in the world. There's no. Right, I mean, it's the opposite of earlier. Someone who calculates the reward of a mitzvah and the loss of an aveira is someone who believes that there is judgment in this world. Yeah, very important for the coming up high holidays, right? Ingrain in ourselves and to believe more in this idea that there is a judge and there is judgment. So this person is the opposite. Avad cheshbon shel ad. Then it says ad divon. So what's ad divon? Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, hamtein ad sheyavo din. Just wait until the judgment will come, and we'll see if you're so convinced then. The nashim ad nofach. Let's turn the page. The nashim ad nofach. What does that mean? It's talking about acha tavi eish she'ena tzricha nipuach. It's going to be a fire that's going to come on its own that doesn't need any fanning. I mean, it'll be strong enough that it can come on its own and expand and ignite and consume. Then it says ad medva. What's ad medva? Ad shetadayiv nishmasim, until one's neshama is worried. The Amrila, and some say ad da'avid mai debai, until what should be done will be done to this person. Right, the Rashbam explains ad da'avid kuchabrichu hu mai debai lemevid l'rishayim l'olam haba. We're talking about this person who says that there's no judge and there's no judgment. So it says that Hashem will do to him what should be done to him in the next world. So why in the next world? So the Rashbam says that oftentimes in this world, right, they seem to get nicer things in this world, the Rishayim, in order that they shouldn't get Olam Haba. So even though it might seem that a lot of wicked people, are on a high pedestal in this world, that's only to give them no pedestal in the next world. And obviously the opposite also. Sometimes it's hard to understand why such righteous people have to go through so much. So we don't know always what the reason is, but it seems to be that one explanation is that it could be that they're just building up their olam haba, which means they're closest to Hashem. So that's one way to look at things that happen in the world. Okay. Amar of Yehuda. So to me, this was like a little bit random. I'm trying to figure out why this is exactly here. Was it Rabbi Yehuda earlier? No. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Amar of Yehuda. Amar Rav. It wasn't even Rav earlier. Who was it? It was. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, I don't know. Amar of Yehuda Amar Rav. Kol haporesh midivrei Torah. Anybody who separates themselves, who removes themselves, like poresh min hatzibur, to separate oneself from a congregation, to separate oneself from the words of Torah, eish ochalto. Oh, I guess it was just talking about fire. That's why. It just mentioned fire is going to consume people, so it also mentions this idea about fire. Fire will consume this person. Well, it's interesting. This person is he removed himself from divrei Torah. What's going to happen to him? Eish ochalto. Fire will consume him. Shnei v'nasatias panai bahem. May ha'esh yatzau. So Hashem says in Yechezkel, I'm going to place my face upon them from the fire that's going to come forth. V'ha'esh tochlam. And the fire will consume them. So, what does it mean from the fire they left? It says, Rashbam says, Meha'esh yatzu. The pasuk says, I'm going to place my face upon them. Meha'esh yatsu, the ones that left of the fire, the ha'esh tochlam, and the fire will consume them. What does that mean? The Rashbam explains, Meha'esh yatsu is min Torah. The Torah is also compared to fire. Halo kod dvarai ke'esh, Hashem says in Yomi, and it says in Devarim also, the Torah is compared to a fire. So it's a very interesting contrast. Usually if you separate yourself from a fire, so you won't get consumed by a fire, right? But here the words of Torah are compared to a fire. So if you separate yourself from that fire, you can have another fire coming. It's almost like an exact contrast. Like the opposite of Gehenna, the fire of Gehenna is the fire of Torah. If you attach yourself to one, you'll be spared from the fire of the other. If you detach yourself from one, then you're going to attach yourself to the fire of the other. It's interesting. Okay. Ki Asar Rav Dimi Amar Rav Yochanan. Kol haporesh atzmo. Anybody who separates himself midivrei Torah, no fall but Gehenna. It's going to fall to Gehenna. Shinamar, as the verse says in Mishlei, Adam Toa, one veers off. He strays miderech haseichel. Bikal refayim yanuach. So a person who strays from the derech haseichel, which is referring to here to the words of Torah. So bikal refayim yanuach, he's going to find a resting place in refayim. The ein refayim, what's refayim? Ela Gehenna. Refayim is reference to Gehenna. How do I know? Shenamar, as the verse states in Mishlei, v'lo yada ki refayim sham be'imkei sha'ol kira'uha. Refayim is referred to the place in the imkei sha'ol. Sha'ol is the lowest depth, in the depths of the sha'ol. So that's I will call out to him. So that's going to be a reference to Gehenna. Okay, back to the garbage bins. Yeah. So macher ashpa, macher zavla. So now we had a list of things in the Mishnah that when you sell them, their contents come along with it. We had a garbage and it's a garbage bin and it's garbage. We had a pit and it's water, and we had the bee's nest and the birdhouse that come along with the bees and the birds and the bees. Yeah, the title of Ayin Chesed Beis. Yeah, you heard it here first from Steve, not from me. So okay, now it's very interesting. We're going to go off for I'm not sure how long, maybe a daf. Yeah, a daf until the next Mishnah. We're going to enter the world of kachim, of sanctifying objects, right? So there's going to be three categories of things that could be sanctified. One are certain things like animals that you can bring as a sacrifice. Then there's things that can be used directly for the upkeep of the temple. Metal bars, screws, hammers, things like that. Mm-hmm. And then there are things that are not fit for either. Milk, right? Something like that. That's not fit. You can't bring milk as a korban, believe it or not. And it also will not be helpful for the upkeep of the temple. So now when you sanctify those things, we're going to have examples. Are the contents also sanctified? And more for what we need is there something called me'ilah. Me'ilah is when you misuse at least a minimal amount. So at least a sheva pruta, the smallest amount that's considered important is a sheva pruta, whatever, a penny or two. When you misuse it, anything that's holy, so then that's called me'ilah. Now, me'ilah in the Torah is only when it's done b'shogeg. The whole full punishment of me'ilah, of misusing things, is only when it's done inadvertently. So you didn't know that the animal was holy and you ended up using it, you're riding on it, something like that. But even when you do something b'mezid, it's also your chayiv. It's not like misusing the Beis Hamikdash on purpose. You're free to go, and inadvertently they're both asur to do. Just whenever the word me'ilah is referred to, it's referring to the special parsha in the Torah that you have to then repay a chomesh, you have to pay a fifth, bring a special korban. So now we're going to go through this Mishnah in me'ilah. Let's see how far we get. It's all really one long conversation. And at the bottom, we're going to bring a machlokas involving Rabbi Elazar, and then go for a long time trying to figure out what he was referring to. Okay, with that introduction, Tanan Hassam, the Mishnah says in me'ilah, remember these three categories. Kol haroy lemizbeach, the first category, whatever is fitting for the mizbeach, below lebedek habayis, and not for the upkeep of the temple. Lebedek habayis below the mizbeach, fitting for the upkeep of the temple, below the mizbeach, and not fitting for the mizbeach, for the altar. Below the mizbeach, below lebedek habayis, it's fitting for neither, like we said, like milk. The halacha is molin bahen. There is me'ilah by all those things, b'masha b'sochan, and whatever is inside of them. Let's give an example. Ketzad. Hiktish bor melei this is why it's going to be relevant to our discussion. I'm filling things up, things that are already filled up. You sanctified a pit, melei mayim. It's filled with water. Ashbos meleo zevel. You sanctified the garbage bin. It's full of garbage. I'm just thinking now, like, why would someone do that, right? So I guess what it means is the value. You want to give the value of that to the Beis Hamikdash, right? Yeah. Maybe the bin itself is useful. No, it's not useful. Yeah, you give its money, I guess, to the Beis Hamikdash. Yeah. I mean, you don't have so many possessions on you, but you have a garbage bin, and I guess all the garbage in the garbage bin could be sold. Maybe I'm just thinking maybe as animal food. I mean, it could be used. Maybe sometimes it's used to for your field as fertilizer. So I mean, it has monetary worth to it. So when you sanctify that, what you mean to do is give its monetary worth to the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, Shobach Malayonim. You have the birdhouse that's full of the dove cot full of the doves. Sadeh Malay Asavim. You have a field full of grass. Elon Nasui Peiros. You have a tree that's carrying fruits. All of those cases, Mol and Bahen, Uvamasha Besochan. If you would sanctify any of these things, also the things inside are sanctified. And if you use it for your own purposes, meaning you misuse it, so then you will have to, you're subject to the parsha of Me'ilah. Aval, what happens if they're empty? They're all empty, and they got filled afterwards. Aval hikdish bor ba'achar kach nasmalei mayim ashba ba'achar kach nasmalei zevel. The pit you sanctified, and then afterwards it rained. Or you have the garbage, and afterwards it got filled up. By the way, I keep saying garbage bin, but it's the Rashbam says earlier, it's really a place in the ground that's he says it's 3 tvachim deep, or 3 tvachim high that you specified as a place for the excrement of your animals. Right? It's not like we have these garbage bins nowadays, but yeah. So
we sanctify excrement.
That's right. So, but it's only if it was there already. But if it got filled up afterwards, or Shovach, you sanctified your dovka, yonim, and then the birds flew in, or Elon v'akrak nasapeiros, or a tree, and then the fruits grew, or a sadeh v'akrak nasmalei hasavim, or you have a field and afterwards it grew the grass. All of those molin bahen, they themselves are subject to me'ilah. The ein molin b'masha b'sochan divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Those are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi Omer hamakdish es hasada. If you sanctify a field, so notice he's only talking about some of the cases. You sanctify a field, the es ha'ilan molin bahen ubegiduleihem mipnei shehein gidulei hektish. Says Rabbi Yossi that when you sanctify the field or the tree, so then you're subject to me'ilah on it and on whatever grows from it. Mipnei shehein gidulei hektish. And this is going to be a big conversation. So how exactly so what it means is that the things that grow from it are also going to be sanctified. The question is, how did hektish ever acquire this? Right? You have a tree. You sanctified the tree. The tree is now in the property of hektish. So now that it grows something, so you never sanctified its growth, and yet somehow the growths are also going to be considered hektish. The next line is going to make a Tanya Amar Rebbe, Nirin Divrei Rabbi Yehuda bebor v'shovach, v'divrei Rabbi Yossi b'sadeh v'Elon. And this is going to be a little bit of a cryptic line. Rebbe makes a statement that the words of Rabbi Yehuda seem to me by a bor. I mean, they seem to be correct by a pit and a dove cut. But the words of Rabbi Yossi seem to be correct by a field and a tree. And what exactly